days. That would be nice. But yeah, I'll be here. Unless I'm asleep, I'll be here when you get back. Bye.
Hello, hello. Oh my goodness, I'm going full ass vampire. I wonder if I should get my ring light. Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing. Dancing through life. Surface. Nothing matters. I know nothing matters. Should I have started the broadcast a full 5 minutes before the time I said I was going to be on here? Probably not. Well, oh, Amanda. I literally, you guys, for those of you that are watching this after the fact, I literally just realized that, oh my God, there's going to be a whole ass 5 minutes of me just sitting here reading in front of your faces, saying nothing. I'm sorry. That's my bad. I'm not really used to um live streaming. Sorry. Let's try to finish the page. I've got like 1 minute left, so I'll just talk for a little bit. So how we doing, guys? How we doing? Day, however many days it's been since this quarantine started. How is everybody feeling? How is everybody doing? Oh, I have quite a bit that I can talk about this time. So I'm kind of excited. I finished Mako Mermaids on Netflix. And I also watched the show that came before it. It was called H2O Just Add Water. Now, for those of you who are thinking to yourself, what the hell is freaking H2O Just Add Water? What the hell is Mako Mermaids? Well, I mean, it's basically a couple of soap operas for teenagers with mermaids. And I'm not gonna lie, I was into it. I mean, I was into it. I was digging the lore. I was digging the magic system. More so in Mako Mermaids than in H2O Just Add Water. Funnily enough, H2O only ran for one season, but the spin-off of H2O, Mako Mermaids, ran for 4 seasons, which I thought was very interesting. And I did like Mako Mermaids better than H2O, I think, because they got much more involved with, you know, what was going on with Mako Island, and a little bit more detail on like the mermaid powers, if you would. Um, so yeah, I'm waiting for people to get in here. There's still nobody in here. Oh, this is why I don't do live streams, because I'm always afraid that literally nobody's gonna come. Because like, who wants to sit and listen to me talk? You know what I mean? Um, but anyway, yeah, the magic system, I was really digging it. Like, I really liked the powers that they gave the mermaids. There were some powers that to me didn't quite make sense. With the fact that they were mermaids and they were able to do certain things. For example, they were able some in Mako mermaids anyway. They were able to like uh telekinesis, like they were able to move things. Um, I really only understood the powers that revolved around water because those make perfect sense to me. You know, all the and if a mermaid did have powers, I think that those would be the powers that they would have, like anything having to do with water, controlling water, because they're mermaids. So like they were able to freeze water, they were able to boil water, they were able to control water, like move it. Um, they were able to make themselves disappear. Hi, Dal. I saw you last night on What Now's live stream. Can you hear me, by the way? Because I have YouTube open in a separate window, but I can't hear anything coming from there, and I don't know if you can hear me. So let me know if you can hear me. Um Ooh, I guess I could check on my phone. Oh my god, that might have interference though. Um but yeah, they could make themselves disappear. I'm talking about the Netflix show Mako Mermaids, by the way. Mako Mermaids and H2O, because Mako Mermaids is a spin-off of H2O. Dal, in case you're interested. But they could make themselves disappear, and I bought that because aren't we made up, or isn't the human body made up of like 68% water or something like that? So I was like, okay, well, they can control the water in their body, so maybe they can just, I don't know, like absorb it or whatever. I really don't know. Okay, good. You can hear me. Okay, perfect, perfect. Good, good stuff. I love this little merp. I love that little trick. Ooh, it's blocking my face. That might be a good thing, to be honest. I'm not wearing any makeup. Oh, so how are you, Dal? How was your day? How was your day? Did you get any writing done today or any reading done today? I'm trying to think of some of the other powers that they had on that show that for me did make sense. Yeah, I mean, pretty much just anything that didn't have anything to do with water, you know, like telekinesis, making things levitate. That was a little weird that they were able to make something levitate. Unlocking locks. No. You know, that just didn't make sense to me. Not for a mermaid. For a witch, maybe, but not for a mermaid. I don't watch series or films very often, so I'm lost, but it's interesting to listen to people's thoughts about shows. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I am a huge movie buff. I like watching TV too. Um and I like reading books and writing. Um and this show I could tell was written for a teenage audience. It was very soap opera-esque. However, I was into it. I was really into it. Um yeah, I don't know. I really liked, I appreciated the time that they took to really develop the magic system. Of course, that happened with the spin-off show and not the original show, but I mean, you know, it's better late than never. And in to their credit, the original show H2O was about three human girls who fall into what they call the moon pool. They basically or they don't fall in, actually. They go in to get out of this like volcano, and they become mermaids because they do so under the full moon and it's like a magical pool or whatever. So it was kind of following those three, the original show H2O, following those three as they discover their powers and as they, you know, start to, you learn how to control them, and also not turn into a mermaid, because literally the minute they touch water, they just grow a tail. So they have to be really careful not to get wet. Um, but in the spin-off show, Mako Mermaids, which ran for 4 seasons, they went into a lot more depth with like the history of the mermaids. And the main characters were like three real mermaids, like they were born mermaids. They went into the history of the mermaids. They went into like how their magic worked, the history of the island. So I really appreciated that a lot. Um, Tell me about your book. Is that what now read last night on his live stream? Is it that one, the one that where he read a couple of paragraphs? This is really snazzy looking. The way this like banner comes across the bottom. It's just really pro looking, you know? I'm very easily amused, Al, don't mind me. What else have I've seen Tiger King on Netflix, like pretty much almost everybody else. There are a few people that I know. There's a young lady, that one of my friends that I was just talking to, that she hasn't seen it yet. Um, that was freaking crazy, and apparently they're adding another episode. So, ooh, a sci-fi, huh? It was a short story. He made it sound so awesome. Yeah, he really has a great voice for narration. I kept thinking that, like, as I was listening to him talk, even when he was just kind of talking to, to us and reacting to what all we were saying in the chat. I was like, man, he has a really great, hi Meadow. Um he has a really great voice for voiceover work or like radio. We will read that short story together and it'll be up this Halloween. That's exciting. Your book is a sci-fi. I'm trying to think if I've ever actually read a sci-fi. Because I think the closest thing, if I'm remembering correctly, the closest thing that I have ever read to a sci-fi, which I don't even think I could necessarily call it a sci-fi, is They Both Die in the End, and that's definitely not a sci-fi. I think that's more of like a contemporary kind of meets dystopia, just with like the death cast.
thing going on. I'm trying to think if I've ever read a sci-fi. I know I've read a fanfic that was a sci-fi, and I've written a fanfic that was a sci-fi, but that's um that's about as close to reading a sci-fi, if I'm remembering correctly, that I have ever gotten. I have Cinder on my shelf. It's been sitting there forever, and I've been meaning to read it. I've heard it's really good. Some people have told me it's not that great, but I don't know. I like Cinderella. Um, and it sounds like an interesting premise, like Cinderella as a cyborg. You know, this is something you would never really necessarily think of. I don't think. Meadow, how are you doing today? How has your day been? How's your week been? Are you holding up okay? I'm not really into the dystopian genre. You know, my theory is that there's like different levels of dystopia, not YA. Um I like YA. I don't exclusively read YA. I'm pretty much open to reading just about anything. From nonfiction to even YA. I tend to like the more adult books, or new adult, I guess, would be like in the college age, so like 18, 19, 20, 21 age range for the protagonist anyway. Um or I should say in the college age themes, because I read an article not too long ago that was talking about YA as a genre, and it was, saying how YA is technically not a genre. um it's just a category, and even still, something that's YA isn't necessarily YA just because it has a high school aged protagonist, because you can write an adult book with adult themes, an adult tone, with, if let's say a 15 or a 16-year-old as a protagonist, but it has, adult themes such as, maybe drug use or death or violence, something that you would see much more of in an adult book. And I thought that was really interesting, because there's this one book that I'm blanking. It's a classic that I'm blanking on right now, but it is like that. It's got, I think, a 14-year-old protagonist. Yeah, it's an age category. Exactly, Dal. It's an age category. It's not, because I've heard people say, "Oh, my favorite genre is YA," and I'm like, "Girl, no." Like, YA is not a genre. It's just an age category. It's essentially just identifying the level of theme in the novel. Um yeah, I wish I could remember the name. It's a classic. It's a classic novel that I'm thinking of, and it has a 13 or a 14-year-old protagonist. Oh god. It's not The Grapes of Wrath, is it? No, that's not it. But anyway, oh, The Giver is one. Isn't he like 13 or 14 in The Giver? I'm reading an adult book that starts with the characters at 10 and 11 years old, and it goes on to when they reach 16 and 15. That's book one. So book one is from the time that they're about 10 or 11, and it goes until they reach about 4 or 15 or 16. That's interesting. Um, do you go kind of linearly? The Book Thief, that might be it. That might be it, but I don't think that's it, because if it were it, I'd be like, yes, that's it. But I don't think that that's it. Hang on. Classic novels. If I see it, I'll be like, that one. To Kill a Mockingbird. Scout. Scout's like 8 or 9 in To Kill a Mockingbird. I've never actually read The Book Thief, so I don't know. So with your book, are you going linearly, or is it something like there's a section of the book for each of their years, or does it just kind of go chronologically, but it's sort of episodic? I gotcha. And there are a few big time jumps. Okay, that makes total sense. That makes total sense. That's really cool. That's really cool. I would be totally interested in reading that cuz I do like sci-fi. Like I love the Orville and I'm so upset that they have had to stop production when they did because we've been waiting for that third season, Biss. Let me tell you, for a hot minute. A hot minute. They were supposed to come back, I think, in like early September, and they haven't yet. Which is sad, but you know, what are you going to do? There's a lot more important things going on, I'll say that much. And it'll be nice to have something like the Orville that I love again after all of this is over, you know, eventually. Um yeah. Have you been able to read at all during the quarantine? Because I kind of have a short attention span anyway. Really the only time that I can sit down for like a good long while, I could spend hours doing it and not lose my attention span or not be like looking at something different every 5 minutes is when I read. But I just have not been able to like sit down, and this is where I was when we began this quarantine. I'm about halfway through, I would say. This is Straight On Till Morning by Liz Braswell. And it's good, I'm not going to lie. Like I'm into it, but I haven't been able to like sit down and concentrate enough to read any more than a couple of sentences, and yet I've been able to read short stories on my Kindle. Been busy editing my book, not much reading. All the Light We Cannot See. I've never read All the Light We Cannot See, but now I'm going to. I'm actually going to look it up right now and see if maybe I can get an ebook version on Amazon. All the Light We Cannot See. Oh, there's a movie, it looks like. Or there's going to be a movie. Is that good though? All the Light We Cannot See? Well, I'm assuming that it is if you've read it. I'm busy editing, not too much reading. I am a little bit jealous of your productivity. Before all of this shit went down, I found it, by the way. I found it on Amazon, and look, they do have a Kindle version. So I will be purchasing that later. Ooh. Sorry, I just caught a brief glimpse of the summary, and it enticed me. Yeah, before all of this went down, I had been talking to an editor that I've wanted to work with for a long time, and we, you know, had kind of set something up to where I could send her my manuscript for my YA novel, my debut novel. And it wasn't a huge edit necessarily. It was more so moving scenes around to different spots in the timeline, which did require some rewriting to some degree, but not a ton, if that makes sense. But the last 3 chapters, I essentially had to rewrite the entirety of the last 3 chapters, and I still have not done it. I still have not done it. All this shit went down, and I emailed her. She hasn't gotten back to me, so I assume that she's, you know, either busy. I think she still has a day job. And I don't know if she's essential. So for all I know, she is essential and she's having to be, in the at her job, the front lines. That's my comp title. So my book is All the Light We Cannot See Set in Space. Okay. I gotcha. Comp title. Okay, so what you're saying is that your book is kind of not the same, but it's basically it's kind of like all the summary of All the Light We Cannot See, except it's set in space. And I mean, I assume that certain, like, there's a probably a lot that's different about it, because from the looks of this one, it takes place during the World War, the Second World War, which I'm into it. I'll read about history all day. All day. That's cool though. I just recently, well, not recently, but I would say a few months ago, started watching The Next Generation, Star Trek. I had never seen any Star Trek whatsoever. But I kind of wanted to watch something sciency, The Orville, it was off season for The Orville, and I had already seen the full second season. And I thought, well, I kind of want to watch something sci-fi, like something that I'll like. So I asked around, and pretty much everybody said that The Next Generation was um, the best Star Trek in their opinion. So I went ahead and started watching The Next Generation. Um, and I like it. I like it a lot. I really want to start watching Picard too, which I think it's on Hulu. But The Next Generation, man, they were horny in the 80s, let me tell you. There's a lot different about it. Yeah, I figured there was a lot different about it, but my two main characters have comparable situations to the two main characters in that book, so that's why I gotcha. I gotcha. That's cool. That's cool. I'm sure a lot about the plot is probably different too. So basically, they have similar backstories. Your two MCs have similar backstories to that of um All the Light We Cannot See. That's cool. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Um, is that so? That's the adult book that you're working on. Are you working on anything else? I know you made mention of a short story that's going to be coming out on Halloween. Is that what you said? Or was that a like was that a joke that you were saying because we were talking about what now? Speaking of which, he said he was going to be here and he's not here, and I'm a little bit sad. I'm kidding. He's probably asleep, to be honest, because wasn't it like 3 in the morning last night when he was talking to us? It'll be up this Halloween. So not backstory, more like circumstances. Okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. So like whatever situation they start in the novel, right? Short story that I will read with Sean. Gotcha. That's exciting. That's really exciting. Are you going to be reading it like here on YouTube, or are you going to be doing like an audiobook of it, or will you be reading it in person like somewhere? It'll be okay, so it'll be on YouTube, uploaded on Halloween. That's exciting. And you know what? Now that I have you here actually and you just mentioned YouTube, I think I already did this last night, but I'm going to do it. I'm just going to like see again because I want to make sure that I'm subscribed to you. I'm not subscribed to you. So there you go, babe. There you go. I'll probably check out your channel later. I still have yet to watch any of what now's video. Ooh, and you have long videos too. I love me some long videos. I'm not gonna lie. I was talking to Howell last night actually on Messenger right after What Now's um What Now's live, and she was saying, "Oh, just so you know, like his videos are long," and I'm like, "I freaking love long videos, so bring it on." You're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. It's my pleasure. I was looking at some of your titles and I'm really looking forward to checking out your channel. Um so yeah. I don't have very many booktube friends. Like I know a lot of booktubers, not like no. I know of a lot of booktubers and like I have Howl. Um I think I consider myself friends with Sabby. I haven't talked to Joe the bibliophile in quite some time. Um and also Haley, I haven't talked to in quite some time. Um, I watch a lot of different YouTubers is my issue, and I have a Hey buddy, bedtime in 10 minutes, okay? Okay. That was a yeah, okay, leave me alone. Yes. No, you can't finish Ferdinand. Okay. Um yeah, and I have a son as you heard. AuthorTube and BookTube same. Same. I do a lot of book reviews. I do movies, TV shows, books, and writing on my channel. Um, which I've thought a couple of times maybe is a little bit too broad. Like maybe it's too many topics to cover on one channel. But I mean, I know that they like fit together easily. They like match in theme. They're all forms of creation, forms of entertainment, forms of escapism, whatever. But there's so much of every one of those things. There's so many movies, so many TV shows, so many books, so many, you know, uh writing discussions, writing tips, writing whatever to be had that it's like, okay, well, what if I run into a situation where like I get someone who's there to watch my book reviews, but then I go like 1 or 2 weeks or 3 weeks without doing a book review. I do like a movie review or like a TV show discussion, or I talk about like, writing. Then what? But then I'm like, you know what? They could just not watch those videos. I'm good with that. Like I'm okay with it. I pretty much just do YouTube for fun anyway. Um I mean, I know I'm supposed to be kind of using it for like building my author platform and all that. There's blindness. So I stick with books. Are you blind? I did not know that. That's incredible that you like still have a love of books and you still read. I mean, that's kind of a stupid thing to say because like I know that there's braille, and I don't know if you're completely blind or if you just like you're blind in one eye or like whatever. But I mean, where there's a will, there's a way. So if you had a love of books before, or you grew up in a household that valued the written word, then I know some series of movies have audio descriptions, but not all of them, and I'm just not accustomed to having it. I'm partially blind. Gotcha. Gotcha. That's really amazing though that you still have a love of books. Um and that you write too. I think that's wonderful. It's beautiful. I didn't I don't know braille. I never had the training. Gotcha. So is it more like you need like special glasses or a special like maybe light, like a certain amount of light to be able to read, um or you need maybe a certain size font. My sister-in-law had a stroke I think about 2 years ago. It's like a whole thing. She had like a brain tumor and got it out, and then she had they were like 2 mini strokes, but she's had a lot of problems with her vision since, and she's had to wear bifocals now. And she hasn't been able to read because the font needs to be a certain size for her to be able to read it comfortably and like not get a headache after a while. So she's really been missing out um on some of the books that she's wanted to read because not all of them come with audiobooks. Though most I would say most books that I have seen come out as of late, they do have an audiobook attached, and if they don't, they get one soon thereafter, you know? But, like, some of her favorite classics or, like, older books, they may not necessarily have an audiobook, so she's really missed that, and she really likes having she's one of those people that really likes having a the book in the hand. Um, I use a magnifier, gotcha. Ooh, I wonder if something like that would work for her. For my sister-in-law, I wouldn't be able to listen to ebooks without my phone and tablet. Yeah, a bunch of tech assistants. I gotcha. I gotcha. Yeah, she wears bifocals um in her glasses. And I if I'm not mistaken, she needs to wear them all the time now. Um but yeah, she's been getting a lot of audiobooks as of late because of that. So, but I might suggest or I might look into a magnifier for her because then she could have a book in her hand again if she wanted to, you know? Depends, I don't even know. Okay, so listen to this. So I've been reading some erotica short stories. I don't know how you feel about Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I don't know how you feel about erotica short stories, but let me tell you. The two that I read were terrifying. How? On her tablet to read it for her. Ooh, a donut. AJ, it's almost 10 o'clock. Okay, hold on one second. I have to go get my kid a donut. You're a kid. Yes, you are. No, you're not. What are you, an adult? No, I didn't say you were a kid donut. I said you were a kid. You're silly. He is so silly. My kid's a silly one. I'm asexual. I'm bisexual. Oh. Oh, could you hear him? He's a funny kid, let me tell you. He's got my husband's sarcasm and my um I was gonna say stupidity, but a quirkiness, we'll call it quirkiness, my quirkiness. So his personality is pretty hilarious. He says some of the funniest things. Howell, how are you? But anyway, yeah, so I was reading these short stories and I read this one that's called Mine. Not to get TMI, but I was looking for a little bit little daddy kink, little daddy kink. Um and the male protagonist in this one infuriated me to no end. It was actually a an older male babysitter trope. So he wasn't like they weren't dating. He was a single father. And it wasn't like a BDSM daddy little one dynamic. It was just an older single father who seduces the babysitter. And I yeah, he was like getting upset because she was playing soccer and the boys her own age were watching the girls practicing soccer. And he was like getting mad, like to the point where he got violent. The assistant coach, I think, patted the babysitter on her shoulder and he proceeded to break the guy's hand. And then at the end, she talks about how
how much he loves her, but that she's not allowed to speak to any other man without him being present, and he needs to know where she is at all times. Not sexy, you guys, literally at all. Not sexy. But yeah, so that happened. And then I read one earlier today that was done better, and that was actually done as a BDSM dynamic, daddy dom and little girl dynamic, and it was a lot better done in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. I just want to see you big on my screen for a second. Let me tell you, I know you mentioned who did your animation character, Howl, but I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I freaking love her. I literally love her. And I love the little kitten ears, the controller type. I hate it with passion. Same. And you know what really pisses me off is when they try to hide that under, oh, well, I'm an alpha male, I'm a dominant male. No, bullcrap. I'm sorry, sir. You're an abuser. I'm sorry. I hate it too. I don't like that. And I really don't like it when they try to pass off that character as something to be lusted over or something to be, admired, because it's like not literally at all. Nicole McCown. Oh, is that who did Howl's animation? Dell, is that who did? I tried to work on my whip today, and I got a little bit done. I actually had kind of an epiphany last night. Of course, as I was laying down to go to sleep, she made the animations very talented. Yeah, she really is very, very talented. I mean, it really even shines through in the videos. I mean, she does a really, really great job. Very expressive, despite it being a animation. But yeah, I had kind of a breakthrough, like as I was as I laid me down to sleep last night. So I started implementing that change today, and now I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to rewrite the whole beginning, though not a whole lot, but I think I kind of want to anyway, because I started it out like with my main guy, my male protagonist, if you would, talking to his ex-wife, whom he is separated from because she cheated on him. Also, he worked a lot, though. Well, I should say he works a lot, present tense. He works a lot, though. And not to say that that excuses her for cheating, but it certainly, at least partially, I think, explains why she would be driven to that, especially considering the fact that they have two young children, both under the age of 10. And they were in love. But I'm not sure if that's the best place to start it. Does that ever happen to you guys? Do you ever like start out a story, and when you start it out, you're so sure that you want to start it out right where you started out. But then as you continue to write and as you kind of get into, the characterization and like world building and stuff, you start to think to yourself, is this really where I'm supposed to start this? Or is this really where I should start this? Or should this be revealed kind of in spurts throughout the novel? Not so much right in the beginning. I don't know if that even makes sense. I have to go put him to bed in like 2 minutes. But yeah, I made a little bit of progress on that. My whip. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a novella. I originally actually had it slated as a novel, but I don't think that I'm going to have enough story to justify a novel without like really dragging it out, you know? So I figured I would set the bar a little lower at a novella because I figure if I go over that, I can, you know, I can always go over that and then just call it a novel if it turns out to be novel length. I don't think it will though. And it's kind of setting up it's setting up for a novel down the line. Well, a novel length story with the same female protagonist down the line. I outline so now I know where to start. What I have to do is fix the first pages because I'm always lacking descriptions. See, I've tried to outline and I have successfully a couple of times. And sometimes it helps, other times it completely takes away the inspiration, or I feel like I'm forcing a scene. Where in the outline phase, when I was writing it as an outline, it made sense. It felt like it came naturally. But then when I go to write it, it just feels like I'm forcing it because I'm trying so hard to stick to the outline. So I've kind of gotten to a point where I have it kind of broken up in my head into 3 acts already, but I have like 3 events, like the starting point, the turning point, and then the resolution that I have in my head, and that's essentially my loose outline. Other than that, I just need to write the first draft and then I outline, like for when I go to edit. Um, Descriptions have always been. I'm gonna put that up so I know what I'm talking about. Um, So descriptions have always been somewhat difficult for me too, especially because I'm a very visual person. So in order for me to adequately describe something, be it a scene or an object or whatever, I have to first see it. So unless I've seen it a bunch of times, like the inside of a New York City subway, I've lived for 4 years in New York City and I did not have a car. So I took the subway literally everywhere. In fact, on my days off, sometimes I would just get on the subway with my iPod or a book and I would just ride the subway all day and like people watch or read my book, listen to music, blah, blah, blah. I actually used to listen to Santa Fe from the Rent soundtrack all the time on the train. But anyway, so the inside of a New York City subway, I don't have to look at a picture of the inside of a train to know what that looks like because I've seen it so many times. But, AJ. But if it's something that I've only seen once or twice in my life or never seen at all, or if it's something very specific, then I have to find a picture so that I can then describe basically that picture, making changes where necessary, obviously. Um, in book 2, I wrote an entire chapter that wasn't even in the outline, but it fits so well that I adjusted the outline. Yeah, and I've heard people say that when you write an outline, that it needs to be, something that you're kind of lax with. Like you don't necessarily have to stick strictly to the outline. You can be flexible with it, and it helps if you're flexible with it. No, no, it's a bathrobe. You can't wear that to bed. Hey, bring me your tablet. It's bedtime. What do you mean, aw? I have issues with description because I can't see, and that makes me careless for visual details, which is bad for readers. You know what, though? Sometimes you can make up for that with other kinds of details, other sensory details, whether auditory or. Thank you, buddy. Hey, can I have a hug? Ew. Did you just say no? Um, but maybe you could make up for that with other types of details, Not that visual details aren't important, but you could highlight other details that are also important. Hang on, I'm just going to put them to bed and then I'll be right back.
Have a hug, please.
No.
I want a hug.
No. I don't want a hug.
Give mom a hug.
I'm gonna put on Harry Potter. Okay, calm
I'm
down.
not doing anything.
Calm down. Calm down. I love you. I love you, buddy.
I love you too. Throw me to the bed.
No.
Just throw me to the bed. I'm being dirty. He's coming.
Careful. Alright, I'm gonna shut your light off. Okay?
This child is nuts.
I love you too.
What are you doing? Are you still watching wrestling?
No, it's over.
Gotcha.
And I'll watch the show after it.
I'm live streaming. We're probably going to be on here for like another hour. And then, do we have anything to watch?
I don't think so.
Did you see that they're adding another episode to Tiger King on Netflix? Another, I think just a single episode. It's supposed to be, I think next week it'll be coming out.
Okay. I'm just careless for extra details. Oh, I see. Huh? Can you get that from him, please? The snorkel. He means the snorkel.
Why?
Do you guys have kids? I only have one, and I gotta be honest.
One's enough.
Are you asking about my YA urban fantasy or the one that I was working on today? The what? Ew, I don't like when he gets like that. So the one that I was working on today is about a young actress named Vera Gonzalez. And she has, it's about her having an affair with her much older co-star. They're actually in a Broadway play together. Oh, I'll talk about all of them, girl. I'll talk about all of them. Child free by choice. Right on, sister. What was I talking about? Oh, right. So she has an affair with her older male co-star. They're in a Broadway musical together that is about to open up, and he is a divorcee with 2 kids, and they're both under 10. And she is like 19 years old, and you know, she's in New York City for the first time, and she's pretty much worked her entire life to get to the point where she's at. And I mean, it's by the stroke of luck. I don't want to say the stroke of luck, but it's the stroke of luck that she hears about an open call for a show that has just left tryouts in San Francisco and is going to be on Broadway. So she's auditioning for that show. She gets in not as one of the lead characters. She actually gets in as part of the company, which is essentially like the extra characters, the backup dancers, the characters that have like one line. That would be the company. The backup singers in a musical, that's the company. So she gets in the company, and he is one of the lead roles. And they have a nice little affair. Just a little affair. I don't necessarily want to tell you how it ends, but it's basically some setup for a future novel with the same character, Vera Gonzalez. With a
Hello, what now?
Yes, 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 yes. We were talking about you earlier. I was like, he said he was going to stop by and he's not here yet. I'm so glad that you're here. We were just talking about my boring ass book. I'm joking. So yeah, that is what that one is about. I'm not sure what it's going to be called yet. The working title is The Big Break, but it just feels too obvious. So I'll probably have a different title when I actually publish. And that's an alarmingly good impression. Oh, how are you? What now? How are you today? How has your day been? Let's put him up. He gets screen time. Well, screen time. So yeah, that's what that book's about. My YA, however, I'm actually really proud of. I've been wanting to write a book about witches for a really, really long time, and that's how that idea started. I just wanted to write a book about witches. Tell me about it. Once you've seen one quarantine, that's good. That's enough to be shown. I feel to be featured. Once you've seen one quarantine, you've seen them all. It's amazing how days are running together now. I literally have trouble remembering what day it is for like a solid minute every morning, sometimes longer. And then other times I'll know what day it is in the morning, and then in the afternoon I'll think it's like, I don't know, it'll be like a Tuesday and I'll think it's like Sunday, and I'll get all confused and stuff. Uh, but yeah, so my that's pretty much how it started. I just wanted to write a book about witches, and then as I started kind of developing an actual plot and a story that you know could be turned into a novel, I came up with 6 teenagers who find out that they are the descendants of a coven of witches that dates all the way back to 1692. And actually throughout the course of the novel, small spoilers here, but not too many, they actually find out that it goes well before 1692. But the last time that the coven was together was in 1692. And they also find out that one of like a disgruntled member from that coven in 1692 is trying to kill them in the present day. So it's kind of it's a mix of them trying to uncover the secrets of their respective families, also figuring out their powers, how to control them, how to use them, and then also who is this person or this whatever that is trying to kill us. Why are they trying to kill us, and how can we stop them? So that is what my YA is about, and that is also going to be that's actually going to be a first book in a series. So that's a separate series. And just to be clear, the one that I was working on today, the one that's going to be, I would say, more like erotic romance, will likely be published under my pen name. And then the YA, that one's called The Eldest Witch, will be published under my name, Amanda Walmot. Because that's the one that my mother and my family and my grandparents can read without the need for me not to face them ever again. Yeah, same in a sense, because I'm a stay-at-home mom. Really, the only different thing for me is having my husband and my son home all day, because I'm used to writing during the day while my son's at school and my husband's usually at work. So I kind of have like the house to myself. Everything's like nice and quiet. and I can really churn out a good amount of words, I think, when when the house is like super quiet and I can just really focus. But now with AJ home and my husband working remotely, it's proven a little bit of a challenge. Not like overtly so. I can still get some stuff done. But I've also been having to do like homeschool and all that. Not today because it's Saturday, Bis. We don't do homeschool on Saturday. And he's just announced that he lost my hair clip. I heard you, bud. I heard you. No, I'm not looking for it right now. I'll come get it in a second, okay? I also caught up on SVU last night. Law and Order Special Victims Unit, for those of you that do not know or do not watch it. It was actually really good. John Waters was in, not last week's episode, but the week before. I like me some John Waters. He had a very small role, but still very, very good. And I'm not really sure how I feel about the fact that they have had yet another friend of Rafael Barba turn out to be a rapist and a creeper. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm only as far. You watch. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It wasn't that much of a spoiler. I'm so sorry. I love though that you watch SVU. You're not that far behind. So the you're not that far behind. I guess I want to say Rollins' Sister was like maybe 3 episodes. 3 episodes. That's not that much of a spoiler. SVU, you mean the Barba show? Babe, Barba is gone. Wait. Oh shit. So Rollins' Sister coming back. Which time? Okay, here's a better question. What season are you on? I think you mean the Olivia show. Is that what you meant? The Benson show? The Olivia Benson show? But yes, if that's what you mean, I mean the it still hurts. Yeah, oh my gosh, can we just talk about that episode real quick? I'm so sorry, but that farewell episode for Barba was such bullcrap. Such bullcrap. They literally season 20. Okay, yeah, so you're in current. You're current. I think you're just like a couple of episodes behind, so you're not that far behind. But yeah, Barba's end episode. This. Because they essentially used Barba leaving to like elevate Peter Stone's character, and I'm not into that. I'm not into that. Like, don't break down. And yes, it was so rushed. That should have been 2 episodes. It never should have been 1 episode. It had no business being 1 episode because it did feel rushed. And Barba's motivation for killing the baby, because that's exactly what he did. But Barba's motivation just wasn't strong enough. I don't feel it was strong enough. I think if they had made the woman, the mom, what was her name, Mrs. Householder, the infant's mom, if they had made her Lauren Sullivan, the girl that he was like in love with in high school, and like, yeah, maybe he's not still in love with her, but he still cares for her very much, then I could see him doing that. But for a stranger, no, I do not see him risking his job and his freedom to for a stranger. Yeah, I didn't like Stone. I didn't like Stone, like, at all. And it's such a shame too, because when they announced him that he was going to be coming on the show, I was actually kind of excited. I had never seen Chicago Justice, but I heard that he was very good on that show. I had a friend who watched it and she loved it. So I was like, oh, this is going to be really interesting. They're going to bring in, and he was supposedly going to be a foil for Barba. So I was like, cool. We're going to see somebody like, maybe threaten his position in the DA's office a little bit. We're going to get some stories with Barba that don't revolve around Olivia. I was super excited. But then they killed that character for me with that one episode, Barba's farewell episode. Like, even, oh my god, even the speech that he gave Liv at the end was all about her. Like, it wasn't about him literally at all. It was all about her. And I was super pissed. I'm so sorry that Carisi, Rollins, and Finn, nor his mother were at that trial. Liv was the only one that cared whether Barba went to prison. Like, I find that hard to believe. So hard to believe. But I love how Warren Light has, like, name dropped him. You know what I mean? Throughout this season. Like, in the first episode, I think Sunny says, oh, I was looking over Barba's, like, opening statements from whatever. And then I'm pretty sure that you've already seen the episode where he made a little cameo, like on a Skype call. Because I'm pretty sure that Rollins' sister's episode is after that episode, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm like waiting for him to come back. Like, that smells like foreshadowing to me. And yeah, Stone, just going off of this comment that I have highlighted here real quick, Stone was really boring for me. He had some big shoes to fill, and I actually felt really bad for him, because if you think about Barba's intro episode where he, like, literally took his belt off and had the defendant choke him out just to make a point, that is a big moment for that character. That is, like, huge. This is me. This is what you're gonna get, like it or not. This is here to stay. And that was a powerhouse moment for that character, and it really brought him to us with the proper bang, because I think before that it had been a hot minute since we had a regular ADA. And then to have Stone come in, prosecute our fave, first of all. And then, yeah, his beard game was so strong. I love it so much. I hope, I'm sure he's going to make an appearance. Probably not this season, because they had to prematurely end their season. I think there's like 1 or 2 episodes left. And then that's the end of the season. But I bet next season, next season he's gonna be coming back, at least for an episode or 2. I hope so anyway. Was a total stopgap for elevating Crazy. Yeah. And elevating. Oh, for elevating Peter Stone, you mean? Sorry, I'm just catching up on your chats. But for elevating Peter Stone. See, I wasn't okay with it. Maybe it was because I was partial to Barba. He's arguably one of my favorite ADAs. Him and Alex Cabot, I think, are pretty tied. Yeah, I really hope, just going to this comment here, I hope that they don't do that because, like, I don't know, they just went back and forth with it so many times, and I feel like she made it pretty clear that she just wanted to be friends, because every time he would ask her to get a drink or, like, to get dinner, like, most of the time she would say, no. Yeah, maybe. See, and I think we changed showrunners. That's what happened. And the guy who created Barba and Carisi is back as the showrunner now, because he left at the end of season 17. He didn't so much say this in so many words, but basically because they weren't allowing him to tell the stories that he wanted to tell. Personally, I think that he was, like, at the end of 17, I think he was setting up
for a Barba Carisi storyline that was going to play out with those threats that everybody apparently forgot about. But he left at the end of 17. He literally left them the season 18 opener on a silver platter, and they threw it all out. I mean, they threw the baby out with the bathwater. And now he's back. He came back for season 21, and he's back presumably for the next 3 seasons that they've already greenlit. So he made Carisi ADA, but that's what they should have done from the beginning. I don't know why they had no business bringing in Philip Winchester, and like nothing against Philip Winchester, like as a person or as an actor, but that character, man, oh my gosh, they did him no favors with that opening episode. They literally did him no favors. Now that you either have to kill it dead or commit to it. Yeah, I agree, and I really hope that they don't, because I actually really love the dynamic that Olivia and Barba have, and I honestly feel that if they went there, if they crossed that line, that it would completely ruin that. And historically speaking, Olivia and nobody on the show really has really had a successful relationship. Even Stabler, who ended up back with his wife, yes, but they almost got divorced. I mean, did you expect to jump seamlessly from your wife? No, I did not. I did not. But luckily, I I tend to have the attention span, at least most of the time, the attention span of a mosquito. So I do like talking about shows. Yes. I do like talking about shows. I would love to talk about books, but the only thing I've read are those 2 short stories, and I haven't finished this one yet. And I already did a book review for a Discovery of Witches. You can find that. Yeah, the magic of the internet, indeed. Indeed. Um but yeah, I really love what Warren Light is doing, and I really like Kat. She's a great new character. I like her a lot. And I really hope we get an LGBTQ character soon. Like in the main cast would be preferable. I'm part of a group that for a while thought that it was going to be Barisi or Carisi was going to be our bisexual, guy to break the mold. Listen to the comments. So you watch shows, well, not watch shows, but you kind of watch them vicariously through other people. You like listen to other people talk about them, and you're like, oh, okay, well that sounds cool. That's cool. I've done that before. I had a group of friends like years ago that loved Grey's Anatomy. I've only ever seen 1 episode of Grey's Anatomy. I've heard from everybody that it's fantastic, but I've only ever watched 1 episode of Grey's Anatomy. But I would listen to them go back and forth and back and forth. And I mean, I would be into it. Like I'd be like, "No, you can keep talking about it because I'm almost watching the show um secondhand sort of just by listening to you talk about it." Um, my eyes don't work. My sister-in-law has a sense of humor like that. She like whenever she gets like if she ever gets hit in the head, she'll be like, "No, don't. That's my reset button," or like. Um and I think she calls one of her hands her stroke hand because it affected only one side of her, but anyway. But yeah, SVU, the last couple of episodes were really, really good. What now? You will not be disappointed at all. And from what I heard or what I've seen on social media from Warren Light, who's our showrunner now, and arguably, in my opinion anyway, I think he was the best showrunner that we have ever had. He was showrunner from season 13 to season 17, and he's our showrunner now. But from what he said, the last episode that they were able to finish is going to close out a lot of the stuff that we saw earlier in the season that didn't get resolved. It's going to close a lot of that stuff out. So that makes me happy. Also, I don't know if you have seen the articles, but they are doing another Law and Order spin-off, like another show um surrounding organized crime with Stabler as the main protagonist. And there is a lot of speculation going on, a lot of speculation that he will be showing up on SVU. I mean, he almost kind of has to. Um, because kind of where the mothership was kind of the flagstone of all the SVU spinoffs, you know, like SVU had to go or not the SVU spinoffs, that Law and Order spinoffs, like SVU had to go through the regular Law and Order to, you know, have their own like pilot or whatever, or segue into their pilot. Criminal Intent, same thing. Los Angeles, same thing. So I think SVU has kind of become that flagship now that the original Law and Order isn't on anymore. Um, so they're almost certainly going to do a crossover at least at some point, but there's been a lot of speculation that there will be a backdoor episode. I have heard a lot of things. I'm nodding along as if I do the same thing. Don't even worry about it. The only two series I've watched were Sense 8 and You. Not a fan of either. I've never heard of. I know I've heard of Sense 8, but I haven't heard very much chatter about it in terms of what people thought. You, however, I have seen a lot of people say was garbage. And I'm not gonna lie, it kind of makes me want to watch it just to see like what, like how big, how stinky of a garbage is it exactly? Because I'm sure it's gonna be terrible, and I'm sure that I'm gonna see everything that everyone else saw, but just how much of it is garbage? Um, yeah. When I literally I do the same thing in life all the time. Um, but yeah, I'm super excited because I like organized crime. That sounds weird. I I'm fascinated by that world. I'm fascinated by the way it operates. I've always had this thought that organized crime, um, Australian one. I don't know. I feel like I have a T-shirt that has Sense 8 on it, but it's an old T-shirt, so maybe that's something for something different. Maybe that's for something different. I can try to look for it in a second. Um, so yeah, I've always kind of thought of organized crime as very similar to our own government. I mean, if you really think about it, they have an infrastructure, they have a banking system, they have security, they have an army, they have their own laws, they have their own morals, they have, you know, all that. Um, so I've always been very fascinated with like the inner workings of organized crime and all of that. I've seen probably every documentary that there is to see on organized crime, specifically La Cosa Nostra. So like specifically the Italian mob is really fascinating to me. It just is, you know. Like I said, just the way that they operate, I think very much mirrors our own government in a lot of ways, even though they're different in very distinct ways also. Um, so I will be very interested to see, and I love Christopher Maloney on top of it. So I will be very interested to see this new series. If AuthorTube is a friend for La Cosa Nostra, I'll be sure furious. Wouldn't that be something? Somebody write that book right now. I'm not even kidding, because that's kind of genius when you think about it. The only hiccup I could see with that really is that I maybe this is just the writers that I know plus myself, but we tend to be a little bit loony, like not super loony, unfunctional or dysfunctional rather, loony, but just kind of loony in our way of thinking. Um so I feel like we would be rogue rogue what do they call them? Soldiers. Rogue soldiers. I would probably be killed in about 5 minutes because I don't like to gossip, but I want to know everything. Not because I want to talk about it with somebody else. I just want to know because I'm nosy as fuck. But anyway, so yeah, I am very excited. And Dick Wolf, I think, does pretty good with the shows about the police. Suicide Squad. Right. Yes. Exactly this. But yeah, he does pretty good with representing law enforcement. I think in a pretty realistic. I just want to know stuff. Girl, same. Or same. Same, 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 same. Same. I apologize for the girl. I just remembered that wait. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. I literally just had a stupid moment. Okay. Okay. So asexual just means that you're not necessarily interested in having sexual relationships, right? Okay, but I didn't want to 1900 when I branched into scourge. You know what? That's really interesting. I would watch that. Okay, good. I got it right. Okay. Okay. And then I know there's aromantic, which is not the same as asexual, but someone who is asexual can be aromantic. Like a person can be both, or someone who's asexual might like some sexual or might enjoy having or be interested in having some sexual experiences, but not. Yeah, I don't know. It's so confusing, you guys. It's not that confusing. It's pretty straightforward, but when you start getting into all the different, not genres, but all the different identities that there are, not just with sexuality, but I mean with gender as well, it can get super confusing. Thank you, Dal. But this is really interesting. What now? Just jumping back to this very, very interesting idea that you had, Law and Order 1900. Because I actually took in college, not that long ago, I'd say probably about a year ago, I took a class in criminal justice. I think I took investigative something about investigation, like criminal investigations 101 or something to that effect. um but we were learning about the history of the police, and back in the day, before there were police, or before there were laws, or I should say before there were organized police, like local police, basically people had to take care of themselves and solve their own crimes. So for example, if somebody were to steal something from you, you would be responsible for finding the person, whoever stole things from you, and then you, along with the people in your neighborhood, would decide what all goes down with that person, like what kind of punishment they get or whatever. But it was your responsibility to investigate and bring your own criminals to justice, your own accosters, I guess. So a Law and Order 1900, I think, would be very interesting, and it would be kind of cool if he took a character from our modern day Law and Orders, or maybe even from the original Mothership Law and Order, and traced back their lineage, and maybe somebody their great 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 grandfather was one of the first cops of whatever the hell. Is definitely genre. Yeah, how were things done before all the tech? Well, I'll tell you, it took a hell of a lot longer. It took a hell of a lot longer. I mean, before, and oh my God, so many innocent people were going to jail. I mean, think about before we even had DNA. When DNA was being brought forth, which I believe
I want to say, I don't think that the OJ trial was the first trial to use DNA in a criminal trial, but I think it was the first mainstream, like it was the first trial that thereafter DNA became like second nature. Everybody was asking for a DNA test because it was proving so many people innocent that had been convicted for years before, like in the 80s or the 70s. um so yeah, a lot of people were being wrongfully convicted. To answer your questions, how were things done before all of the tech stuff? I mean, technology has really played a role in how things are investigated, how evidence is examined, how evidence is logged even. Before, I mean, people were putting shit in boxes and, writing down on a piece of paper where it was and then shelving it and, assuming that, your department kept up to date with all that stuff. Then yeah, you might be able to find it easily, but most of the time, fuck no, girl. You would have to like be there for fucking hours. Like if you were gonna go, oh, I'm gonna go look up a cold case from like 2 years ago, like your captain would literally look at you like, take a lunch, bitch, because you're gonna be there like most of the day. Let's see. In this country, it wasn't as 1840. The courts worked out people might lie to the very young police force. That's interesting. That's interesting. And you're in Liverpool, you said last night, right? Which is Britain? I think you might have said Britain at some point in the live stream, but I'm going to be honest with you. I don't remember if that was in reference to where you live. Cuz I know you mentioned several places, but I think we were talking about accents. But that's really interesting. Till 1840. Yeah. And there are some things UK. Okay. Yep. Okay. Liverpool. I've never been to Liverpool. I've been to Paris, London, Amsterdam, Brussels. And I think Belgium. I went my freshman year of high school with our school jazz band. And we went on, it was something that he did every year. One of your neighbors could vouch for you. And really, one of your neighbors could vouch for you, and that would be enough to get you cleared without vetting your neighbor. That's interesting. That's interesting because I mean, like nowadays, you can still have somebody. Brussels is in Belgium. Okay, perfect. So perfect. What? No, you can't have Spider-Man gummies. For snack, boy, it is 10:30. All right, give me a minute. So yeah, I know. Tell me about it. AJ, you already had a donut. Thank you. Well, shitstorm. Honestly, it sounds like it because I mean, when you think about it, if they weren't vetting your neighbors, no, you're not getting gummies. This kid eats so much. I can't even. And he's so skinny. Wait, he's so skinny. Okay, go. You don't have to ask me to go to the bathroom, honey. Just go. Leave what open? No, you did. Yes, you did. After you took your toys out of the bathroom, you closed the door. Which is fine. I mean, it doesn't bother me, but I'm just saying, I didn't close that. You do it. Yeah, my kid wanted a donut before bed. No, the door did not close by itself. um that that does make sense. That makes sense.
I really want to start watching the BBC Sherlock Holmes because I've heard from so many people that it's amazing, and I do like me some Benedict Cumberbatch like a lot. Um, but I don't know how I would even get BBC. Does anybody know if the BBC Sherlock Holmes is streaming anywhere? Yes, there were donuts earlier. You can have gummies whenever you want. Downside of being a grown up, you don't want the gummies. That's true. Well, he's 6. He's 6 years old. Um, and he already had a donut. And it was like one of the, chocolate glazed donuts. Not glazed, but it's the chocolate coated donut. So that's quite a bit of sugar for, I think it was around 8:30 or 9. No, it had to be about 9 o'clock because Dal was already here. So it was like 9 o'clock, 9:15, which is pretty late to be having sugar, if you ask me. I want all the sweets, girl. Same. Same. Same, same, same. I was just thinking I might have like an ice cream cone after I'm done here. Okay, some of it's wonderful, some of it's not. So average, is that okay? But like story wise, because I always expect whenever I watch a TV show, I always expect that some episodes are going to be better done than others. Especially if it's an episode or a TV show rather like SVU where really it's kind of episode to episode. Very rarely do you get a storyline that stretches over, a 2 episode arc or a 3 episode arc. But it's kind of it's a different case every week kind of thing. So especially with shows like that, I always anticipate that some episodes are going to be better than others. Is it kind of like that where each episode is a different, I guess, case? Or does it follow kind of a linear story where they're looking for one murderer or they're looking for one, like, whatever, throughout the series or throughout the season, maybe? Um, Same. My favorite ice cream flavor, that's probably my second favorite, is chocolate, but my absolute favorite is Rocky Road, specifically the Breyers brand, because the Edie's brand of Rocky Road, like, I don't like the way they do their marshmallows. Like, I'm not into it. They have like actual like stretchy marshmallows in there. I don't like that shit. I like the Edie's because it's like thin and it's just the flavor of the marshmallow that you got, and then you got the chocolate covered, what is it, almonds? Or no, I don't think it's almonds. Walnuts, I think. Whatever, the little nuts in there, the freaking chocolate covered. Oh my god. Delicious. Delicious. So that's my favorite of all time. And then maybe mint chocolate chip, the green kind. Let's see. I'm such a Holmes fan. I'm a bit of a Puritan. Have you read the books? I've never read the books either. So I'm completely a Sherlock Holmes virgin because I've never even seen the movies, you guys. And I love me some RDJ. His birthday was today, by the way, Robert Downey Jr. But anyway, I love me some Robert Downey Jr. But excuse me, hold on. I need to pause that for a second. What is Rocky Road? Oh my gosh. Okay, so Rocky Road is chocolate ice cream with marshmallows, nuts, and some chocolate in there. It's so good. Let me see if I can find a good picture of Rocky Road ice cream. But it's literally the best thing ever, pretty much. But the Breyers brand, not the Edie's brand. The Edie's brand is bullshit. Let's see. Breyers Rocky Road. Yes, this. Yes. Oh, yes. Look at this. Look at this and tell me right now. Can you see it? Look at the freaking... Do you see that vanilla swirlage? That's the marshmallows. And the chocolate. And the chocolate-covered nuts. It's literally... I don't know what that no hormones thing is there. Oh, no artificial growth hormones used on the cows. But oh my gosh, that ice, look at that. Oh yeah. Oh my god, it's so good. It is so good. You don't understand though. It is so good. So good. Um Chocolate. I've never had licorice, mint and chips. Now, is that like mint chocolate chip? because I know they have two different kinds of mint chocolate chip. They have the green kind and then they have the white kind. I prefer the green kind. Because it's the ice cream that has the mint flavor as opposed to just the chips, the chocolate chips that have the mint flavor. But anyway, um really? Well, then you know what? Maybe I'll watch. I'll probably watch both, but maybe I'll watch the movies first because I really like RDJ a lot. Um, both as an actor and as a person, beginning when he made his comeback. Because before that, I mean, he's only human, but before that, he was not that great of a guy. But he had shit going on and all that. But um, I've heard he's a really good Sherlock, though, like a really good Sherlock. So I'll look forward to that. Both endearing and frightening. I'm assuming you were talking about the ice cream. I'm telling you, it's so good. Okay, mint chocolate chip that looks greenish. Yeah, that's my favorite. My absolute favorite. Well, one of my favorites. My absolute favorite is Rocky Road, but mint chocolate chip, the green mint chocolate chip is right below it. The film gets the feel right, not based on any. Okay, yeah, I get it. Something new. Yeah, I get that because like the show kind of goes is more attached to the books, right? The show is a little not exactly like it's still different from the books, but it kind of follows the same story sort of. At least that's what I've heard, I think. Actually, Hal, I think I might have heard that on the video that you did on Sherlock. Speaking of which, where is Hal? Girl, where are you? I miss you. Yes. The ice cream close up. Do you see? Yeah. So, okay. At the risk of infuriating the chat. Well, maybe not. Um, Mainly because there's only two of you and three of you in here. But I don't really know what ASMR is. Like I know that it's focused on sound, and I know that you can do it with different things. You can do like crumpling paper ASMR, you can do like eating ASMR, but I don't understand the point. I guess it's supposed to be like relaxing. Is that is that pretty much it? Ironically, the TV series adapts stories into the modern day. Okay, yeah, I like that. Films are based in the correct setting, but a new story. See, I like that. Like the same setting but a new story. I like that a lot. I like that a lot because they focused a lot more, I guess, on making the characters true to the books as opposed to focusing much more on having the story be true to the book. Would you agree with that assessment? I don't understand either, but I think it's a physical sensation derived from close proximity and low volume sound. Okay, so that makes sense because I would imagine with like um, soft sounds or isolated sounds, like if you're doing an eating ASMR, the crunching or the chewing, which sounds kind of disgusting. The crunching not so much, but the chewing sounds a little bit disgusting. Um, but I would assume that you would feel some kind of sensation of a vibration just from the sound alone. Maybe. Um, okay. I think I tried to watch an ASMR video. I don't remember what kind of ASMR it was, though. I have to be honest. And I couldn't watch it. I got like 2 minutes in, and I was like, "What the fuck am I watching right now?" I shut it off. The film takes an aesthetic route, while the TV series is taking the narrative. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I tend to like character driven films a lot more. I like action packed films too, and I like plot moving films too. Um, but I tend to appreciate character driven films a lot
more than your average person. I think, at least the ones that I've met. There are a lot of movies that I think are great that other people think are terrible, or they thought it was boring, or, you know, I mean, all kinds of things. All kinds of things. What would you guys say is your favorite movie of all time? And just to be perfectly clear as to what I mean when I say your favorite movie of all time, if you were to be put on an island with a DVD player and a TV, no Wi-Fi, one DVD, one. And even if it's an old film, it can be converted to a DVD. Just assume that it can be converted, or a Blu-ray, I guess, is the modern version of the DVD. So a one Blu-ray. What Blu-ray would that be? For a long time, my answer would have been Reservoir Dogs. And I think to some extent, I would still answer Reservoir Dogs. Because even though I have seen that movie enough times that I can literally quote it from beginning to end, every character's dialogue, I still am so fascinated and awed at the fact that that film was primarily filmed in a warehouse. Yes, AJ. You just want gummies. I don't know if you guys heard that, but he was like, "Oh." All right, hang on one second, bud. All of the scenes, even the scene in Joe's office, the scene at the dance club, pretty much every single scene, I think, except for the scenes that were shot, the exterior scenes. So the walking scene in the very beginning, and there's one more scene that and the chase scene between Mr. Pink and the cops. Those were the only scenes that were not shot at the warehouse. Even the scene where Mr. Orange is practicing his commode story. I don't know if you guys have seen Reservoir Dogs, but where he's practicing his commode story is on the roof of that warehouse. The entire film was shot in the warehouse because the budget was just not the biggest budget at all. The actors like brought their own clothes in. Michael Madsen used his own yellow Chevy Coupe de Ville as his character's car. And when you think about that movie, how it revolves around this robbery that we never see, but it's palpable still, you know, we feel like we were there because the characters are talking about it, and the way that they're describing it, and the way that they're talking about their experience in that jewelry store, which again, we never see. We only see the aftermath of it. It's just so, yes. And Harvey Keitel single-handedly funded Reservoir Dogs because Quentin Tarantino was a nobody, and so was Lawrence Tierney. Oh my God, who was his producer's name, man? It's not Lawrence Tierney. Lawrence Tierney played Joe. Lawrence Bender? No, that doesn't sound right. No, you know what? I think it is Lawrence Bender. Hang on. Oh, come on, phone. Lawrence Bender, yeah. They were nobodies. And Harvey Keitel made such a badass Mr. White. So, I've never seen this movie. Dancer in the Dark. But why do I feel like I've had somebody tell me that it's a good movie? Oh, it's a 2000. It's a relatively new movie. What, AJ? It's a musical drama? No, Biss. I'm there. Who's in it? Bjork, okay.
Stellan Skarsgård. Is there any? Oh, Joel Grey. I know who Joel Grey is. Is there any relation to Alexander Skarsgård? Just curious. I will have to check this out because I love musicals, and I don't think I've seen a musical drama in a hot ass minute. I don't know if you count Wicked as a musical drama. I don't. Well, I do actually because of reasons. Spirited Away. Kind of changed me. Yeah, I'll have to check out Dancer in the Dark. So Jurassic Park. I mean, you know what? I think I feel comfortable in saying no explanation needed. I think there's a lot of argument to be made for the amount of technology that was being used at that point in time with regard to film. Yes, AJ. No, I'm not done, honey. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to go see what he wants. I'll be right back. AJ, I'm serious right now. AJ, we don't have cider yet. Never mind, yes we do. Okay, here. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so sorry about that, guys. So yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about technology. Mom is the one who can talk about films forever. I listen to her talk about it yet. Oh, your mom's a film buff. That's cool. What is it? What's your mom's favorite movie? He did want gummies. I literally just brought them to him. Yeah. So what was that? Like the early 90s, Jurassic Park? So by then, you know, we'd had E.T., we had Close Encounters of a Third Kind. We had the first 2 Star Wars, if I'm not mistaken, right? Episodes 4 and 5? My kid, yeah. So we were already making strides, right, with regard to special effects, having fantastical things in film like dinosaurs that looked real. I mean, they really looked real. I remember the first time I saw that movie, I think I was about 8 or 9. The first time I saw Jurassic Park, and it scared me. And we watched it on a very rainy day, and now I'm remembering there is a good portion of that movie where it is raining outside. In fact, when I don't remember his name, but the scientist guy with like the glasses, when he gets attacked by like the like thing, it was raining like a lot. And that part scared me a lot. But yeah, that was a great movie. Steven Spielberg is amazing. So yeah, I don't think there's an explanation needed necessarily, you know. Here's a fun fact. Mentor, when he was working on Reservoir Dogs, was really? I can't think for 2 more different directors, but there it is. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Did you know that Reservoir Dogs, I don't remember if it was the premise or if it was just the title that he kind of swiped but didn't swipe. is evidently from a French film that he was very fond of. And I mean, just the fact that we never saw that robbery, and yet that was the central focus of the film, was that heist that we never saw. Yeah, we have I have all kinds of phrases that I have picked up in my lifetime. I've lived in so many places. I was born and raised in Miami. I lived there till I was about 21. I think a little bit after my 21st birthday, I moved to New York. Actually, no, that's not true. That summer, I moved to New York in July. My birthday's in March. So that summer, I moved to New York, and I lived in New York for about 4-ish years. And then I lived in Connecticut for, I think, about a year or two. And then I lived in Tennessee for 2-3 years ish. And now I live in Illinois. So I've lived a pretty good number of places, I would say, and I've heard so many different local phrases that I've kind of adopted into my vocabulary. So really the only time that somebody can tell where I'm from is when I get like generally when I get super upset. That's when like the Hialeah comes out, and like you can really hear that I'm from Miami. Not just the way in which I pronounce certain words, but also just the way that I express myself. I tend to talk with my hands. Yeah, I mean, that happens. My mom's like that too. She has way too many favorites. She'll say one movie, like she'll say like, "Oh, my favorite's Gone with the Wind." No, wait, my favorite is Star Wars. No, wait, my favorite is Ocean's 11. Like she has such a huge criteria for her judgments of film. Like she judges it on several criterions. So for her to pick a favorite, it would be very difficult. So my mom is very much like that, very much the same way. I don't think she would be able to choose. But just going back to this, yes, you never see that robbery. And yet you feel like you did, in a sense, because of the way that they talk about it. You never see inside the suitcase in Pulp Fiction. That's another thing. I feel like there's little little signatures like that in all of his films, right? Like there's pretty much certain things that you can count on with a Tarantino film. A lot of violence. More often than not, character driven. I think the only one that wasn't character driven, and even that, in my opinion, was more character driven than not, was Kill Bill. That was just a little bit more plot driven. And I'm talking about like old school Tarantino. I'm not talking about anything past, I would say, Death Proof, which I actually liked a lot better than Planet Terror. That's just my opinion. I liked it, but whatever. That's another one that like everybody's like, "Oh, Planet Terror was so much better." Robert Rodriguez's movie was so much better. I'm like, bro, have you seen Death Proof though? Have you seen that chase scene? Have you seen the lap dance scene, Biss? Because that was quality. But yeah, when you like, there's certain signatures. He'll have like the same actor in a certain number of films. Like Tim Roth is in Pulp Fiction. Steve Buscemi is in Pulp Fiction. Harvey Keitel is in Pulp Fiction. And actually, I don't know if you know this, what now, but Michael Madsen, who played Mr. Blonde in Reservoir Dogs, was actually supposed to play Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction, but he was already signed up to do Wyatt Earp, which conflicted in schedule with Pulp Fiction. And Wyatt Earp was not good, guys. So yeah, Vincent Vega, yes. I think they were supposed to be originally they were supposed to be identical twins. Um because again, Michael Madsen was supposed to originally he was supposed to play Vincent Vega, but he couldn't. So then he got John Travolta. And you know what? I really, really loved John Travolta as Vincent Vega. I thought, because up until then he had done kind of the teen angsty films, you know, and then kind of the kind of kiddish like rom-com type thing. He had done Saturday Night Fever and Grease, and obviously Welcome Back Kotter he was on for a long time. And then he did like the Look Who's Talking, and Pulp Fiction I think was the first film, even though arguably Saturday Night Fever was a serious role in my opinion, but Pulp Fiction was really the one that kind of put him in a position where he could act in anything that he wanted after that. Um yeah, and it was nice to see him. Yeah, I agree. It was nice to see him in not so big of a role in that one. He was kind of almost a cameo. And I really loved too that he used a lot of unknowns. I mean, really, if you think about it, the only big names that he used in that film was Kurt Russell, obviously. Um, he used Rosario Dawson, and he used Tracy Toms, who saw a lot of fans from the Rent movie, though she also had her fan base from Broadway. Um, but yeah, she got it. She was thrust into, I guess, the mainstream or the film world, if you would, with Rent, and then we saw her again in Death Proof. But everyone else was relatively unknown. I mean, even not Sigourney Weaver, Sidney Poitier, named after her father, Sidney Poitier. I don't think that Sidney Poitier had ever done a lead role in anything, at least not to my knowledge. Vanessa Fertillo, same thing. She played Butterfly. She really hadn't done very much other than supporting role or extra or one or two lines, featured actor, if you would. But yeah, Tarantino was one of my favorites growing up, personally. His newer films, I think, have taken a turn. Like I said, after he did Death Proof, you could kind of see a change in his filmmaking style. Not that it was necessarily bad. I just think he started veering away from the character films, the Reservoir Dogs and the Pulp Fictions, and even the True Romance. Even though he didn't direct True Romance, he wrote it. And that's some beautiful, beautiful cinema, an all-star cast. Some breathtaking scenes, wonderful dialogue. That's something else that he's known for. Um but yeah, my phone is getting drunk. Your phone is getting drunk. Listen, I'm going to say this. I've never spoken to my phone about this, but my phone has never gotten drunk. So I'm just saying I think it would appreciate getting drunk. Tarantino runs his films like a repertory theater company, rotation of actors. Yeah, he has a lot of the same actors in all of his movies. I think it's what gives them the inexplicable, comfortable comfort feeling. It's a family affair, absolutely, and I think it frees them up too to kind of try different things. You know what I mean? I actually went to film school for a year when I first moved to New York. That was why I moved to New York. I moved to New York to move to New York because I wanted to live in New York. I wanted to be an actor in New York. I used to joke all the time that I wanted to move to New York to be a starving actor, and funnily enough, I was starving. So at least I I met my expectations, if you would. That's true. You can't watch them all the time. When I sleep, I charge my phone out in the living room. So for all I know, they're having all night ragers here. The phone, phone, the laptop, the Kindle. I don't even know. But I went to acting school for a while, and there's a real freedom, I feel, that comes with working with people that you feel comfortable with, especially actors that you feel comfortable with. Because even if you don't necessarily know the director,
you know what to expect from your scene partner, and you know that you can trust your partner wholeheartedly. And that's a lot of what acting is, in my opinion. You have to trust your scene partner, and you have to, be willing to say yes, and be willing to be open to whatever they may present you, and you to them. So I would imagine that working on a Tarantino film, there's a real chance that he's going to use you again in another film in the future, and that therefore gives you kind of a kind of freedom that you might not have on a film set where you don't know anyone, where you don't know any of the actors, you don't know the director, you don't know the producer, etc., etc. There's also a bar, you know, because presumably if a director is going to continue working with an actor, one of two things. Oh, typos out of nowhere. Gotcha. Okay. See, I always call it my big fat thumbs. Oh, thank you so much for staying up late and hanging out with us. The next time I do this, I will try to do it earlier, much earlier. So that if you want to come and hang out, you can come and hang out. And I will certainly be in your next live chat because you were awesome last night, or your next live stream. But good night, Sean. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Same with musicians. I think more so with musicians too. Because you're live on a stage, and people pick up on energies. I feel people pick up on your energy. So if you're in a bad mood, they're gonna sense that. If you're in a great mood, they're gonna sense that. You know what I mean? I'm in trouble on my account. Good night, Sean. Sleep well. Let's see. Well, I've been going for 2 hours, so how about, since it's just you and me now, Dal, play guitar and sing? Do you really? That's okay, honey. No, that's totally okay. I get it. That's totally okay. I'm super excited to read Blood Herring. But Dal, going back to you for a moment. You play guitar and sing. A few times I jammed with some people. It was great. Have you or do you have plans to ever like record a few songs, even some covers? I've always wanted to learn how to play guitar, and for a while I had someone that was teaching me, but then I lost my guitar. I didn't so much lose it as much as I didn't have any rent money. And so I gave my roommate my guitar in lieu of rent until I could get my side of the rent. I was an indie singer for 4, really, with another name, but that's not my path. I understand that. It's amazing how like when you look back, maybe this is just me. I know that there are plenty of people, a lot of people in fact, who are doing what they've always wanted to do since they were very young. But me personally, I found, and it sounds like maybe you too, Dal, that we started out when we were young wanting to do one thing and being so sure that that was what we wanted to do. And it's not so much that we don't want to do it anymore as it is that circumstances have changed. Kind of like what you're saying here, that's not my path. Circumstances change, things happen, you lose maybe a little bit of passion for it, even though you still have a passion for it. It's more of a hobbyist passion or a pastime passion, and you find yourself drawn to something else, maybe in the same realm. I mean, obviously, you and I with writing, you with writing with your connection to music, and me with writing with my connection to movies and the acting world and this and that. But I always think it's so interesting to kind of look back and remember what it was like when I was, I don't know, 17, 18, and I was so sure about the way that my life was going to go. And yet, um, it didn't go that way. And that's okay. I'm okay with it, A blind woman singing alone. Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. Yeah. And that's a shame, too. But what's really cool? I don't know if maybe this is something that you've thought about, or something that maybe you've just completely let go of, and that's okay too. But what's really cool is that you can still write. You're a writer now, so you can write a book, and you could even write maybe not a soundtrack, but you could write a song and just record it and put it out there as a song for that book. I don't think anyone's ever done that, like a soundtrack to it, or maybe somebody has, but it's not comprised, or maybe, I don't know, comprised of like original songs. It's mostly like a mix. But you could always do that and still have that music part of you as part of your path as a writer. And I don't know what your relationship, I don't even know if you play anymore, or if that's something that, has ever interested you or anything, but, yeah, it's such a shame. And there's a guy who composed a soundtrack for his book. That's really cool. Oh, you know what you should do is tell me his YouTube name, because I'll go check out his channel. That's amazing. Composed a soundtrack for his book. I am so in awe of people who can compose music. I really am. I really, really am. And I know that there's a lot of programs out now that it does it for you. Not in the sense of it does it for you. You still have to still have to like write down what you want to put on the screen, but it puts the notes on there for you. You know what I mean? So you don't have to write in each individual note on a piece of composition paper. So that's really cool. I'm glad that you still play at least. That's cool. More for myself. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's okay too. That's okay too. I still memorize monologues. Not because I'm going to perform them in front of anybody, or because I'm going to audition. Because I'm not auditioning for anything. Mm-mm. No, girl. No. I've got way too much going on. And honestly, I sometimes think that I take too much on. So I'm always afraid to That is so awesome. Oh yeah, do that again, please. Please. I'm going to check out your channel. I'm probably actually going to do that tomorrow because it's Sunday and I'll have free time all day. The only thing that I have left to do is to put the stuff that's in the sink in the dishwasher, and I'm probably going to do that tonight after I get off of here. But that's really cool. I'll have to try to find that one. And do you remember which one it was? And I'll watch that one first tomorrow. I like music. I like music a lot. Sometimes music is better than words, I think. But anyway, you guys, it is 11 o'clock Central. Hal, I know you're on my time zone. Dalla, I don't know what time zone you're in. I think maybe name of the song I covered. Oh, perfect. Okay. Okay. My favorite book of 2019. Perfect. Perfect. Oh, girl, it's 1 a.m. Okay. Yeah. So I'll let you guys go. It's 11 p.m. here. Oh, you're in Argentina. That's cool. That is so cool. I didn't realize that Argentina was only 3 hours
or 2 hours. 2 hours in front of us. That's insane. That's cool. Um, but yeah, I'll probably do this again. This was a lot of fun this time. The last time I did a live stream, it was, I think, a couple of weeks ago, and there was only one person in the chat, but we had a great, great chat. But they were talking about, I don't know, they kind of strange. Not from Argentina, but here at the moment. Are you, well, I guess the better question is, where are you from? I was going to ask if you were American, but then I was like, that's not necessarily. So, So, I think I'd rather ask, where are you from originally, if you don't mind me asking. I know you said you don't watch a lot of TV, and I think you may have even mentioned that you're not necessarily, not that you're not necessarily interested, but that it's difficult for you because I'm an alien. No, you're not. You're very sweet. I had an amazing time talking to you. And I can't wait to look through your channel. Truly, I cannot wait to look through your channel. I've met so many new people with this live streaming stuff that we're doing. And I think that's so exciting. And it's crazy to, think that booktube and authortube is so much bigger than you anticipate, and just when you think that you have seen how much bigger it is, it's even bigger than you thought. um I actually keep meaning to send a link to the Facebook group to Temoc Sol, the street author, because he's awesome, and I would really love it if he did a live stream. There really is so much to learn from everyone. I mean, even just in talking about life experiences. I think there's so much value in knowing as many different people as you can as a writer, or as a creator in general, just so as an artist, as a painter, as a writer, as a musician, as an actor, as a filmmaker, as a, whatever. I think there's a lot of value in that. So I love that we're doing this. Um, and yeah, I will for sure. I need to watch their videos more. Yeah, he's amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna send him the link. Actually, I'll probably do that right now so that like before I forget. And if he's asleep already, then he'll just see it tomorrow. It's fine. I think he might be in or no, he's in California, so it's earlier over there. Um, but yeah, thank you guys so much for popping into my stream. I really appreciate the support. It was so much fun talking to you. Great talking to you and to Steve or Sean. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing this again. Maybe by then I will have finally finished Straight On Till Morning, so I can talk about a damn book for a change. And not a movie or a TV show. But rest assured, if I haven't finished that, I will for sure have probably some more movies and some more shows to talk about, because I watch a lot of them. But anyway, good night, you guys. Good night, Dal. Good night, Howard. Good night, Howell. I love you guys so much. And I thank you, and I look forward to talking to you guys again too. And Dal, if you ever do a stream, for sure I will be there. I mean, for sure. I already have notifications turned on for the group, so from now on, anybody who posts, I'll get a notification right away that they're going to be posting. Good night, Dal. Good night, Howell. Thank you guys so much.